We're Jen and Chris Corsi with Thrive Today, and today we want to talk to you about this season that's starting to come to a close. This season of isolation, staying at home, and just having to be by ourselves. It's been a hard couple months. I've lost track of how many months. But it's good as we look back. We've talked about the losses, and those are important things to acknowledge. But what we haven't really looked at is what good has come out of this season. What can we look back on with appreciation and gratitude from the changes and the new opportunities that we had in these last months?
Yeah, there's no doubt this has been a hard season. This has been unprecedented. And our world has kind of corporately been through a lot of hardship here.
Mm-hmm.
And, as we've talked about in previous videos, your brain looks back to predict the future, what's going to happen next. So this is more of a reason why we need to find a silver lining. We need to look at some of what God sees when he looks at this situation. And we need to try to find, what are some of the good things that I've learned or that has helped me grow that I want to continue. And I think a lot of us do have those kinds of habits, behaviors, connections, whatever it is that you've learned that you value during this time. This is where we learn to corporately suffer well instead of being traumatized. Mm-hmm. So we're staying relational. We're looking for God's hand, even in the hard stuff. And we're trying to grow the good stuff because your brain's an amplifier. You're going to amplify hard stuff in your environment, or if your brain is trained on joy, you'll amplify the good stuff. So we're really trying to amplify the good stuff. So that's why the discussions on what have you learned, what was good from this hardship, writing these things out, talking to Jesus, sharing it with our friends and our family members can be very valuable.
And even processing this with your kids. I've done that a lot this last couple of weeks. What we start with, what have we missed? What have we been sad about from this season? And I share their sadness because that's really what's at the forefront of their minds, and probably your mind too. So you may need to start with acknowledging those losses. But then, in spite of those losses, what new opportunities have we had? What good has come out of this? And the question I asked my kids was, what have you enjoyed about being home instead of at school? And so we've talked about that they've enjoyed being able to sleep in instead of have to go to school early in the morning. They've enjoyed more playtime with each other. They've enjoyed a little bit more of a relaxed routine. So there's good things that have come out of it. In fact, one of the good things that came out of it is our little puppy, because we have been wanting to get a puppy for a while and we just haven't been home long enough to be able to do that. So she is always going to be one of the good things that came out of this time for us.
Yeah, and we have a God who's always with us. And so just talking to God about these things, what are some of the good things? What's some of the gold that we can mine from this hard stuff? And, a loss is one of the hardest thing for our brain to process. So it's really hard to be relational when you're thinking about talking about loss. Mm-hmm. So we have to be purposeful about creating these habits of appreciation, of quieting, of building some joy, seeing what God sees, telling these brain-friendly stories that we call 4+ stories. Like all of this is really the gold to help us maximize the good stuff in this hard time.
Mm-hmm. So today I would encourage you to talk to your family, talk to your friends, or maybe even just yourself. Reflect first and journal for a little bit. What losses have you felt? And just acknowledging those, but then what good has come out of this season? What opportunities? In fact, why don't we just show them that real quick? Chris, what do you feel has come out of this season for you? What maybe losses, but then also what good?
The loss that comes to my mind is just I've missed, being unable to just go to places where I was used to going to before the quarantine happened. That familiarity, that freedom. The other thing that I've enjoyed and valued would be the extra time with my family. So having the crew home has been really meaningful for me. So I can acknowledge the loss, I can acknowledge the hard stuff, but then I'm trying to also bring in some of the good stuff, which makes the loss more bearable so that we are people who suffer well, opposed to being traumatized by the hard stuff.
So today I'd encourage you to take that same reflective time. It can really help with the redeeming of this time because God has a lot of good things that have come out of this time, and we want to take the time to notice those.
Yeah, we do. And we have a God who's always with us. So we want to share this with Emmanuel and be able to engage him as well as we process this. Enjoy.